All right, for this video, we're going to walk through creating a Power Automate flow from a template. Show you how easy that is. So we're here on the main screen. When you log in, click on Templates. And let's just pick a template at random here. We did one. Let's see. Let's do something in the remote work area. So we're going to do a template based on remote work. Let's just find one here. How about this one? Get notified of new OneDrive files. So we'll go ahead and click on that. So as you can see, when you click on a template, first thing it does is it lets you know which connector is the trigger. In this case, it's OneDrive for Business. And on the rest of it, it shows you the connectors that are used for the various actions that'll be a part of the template. So in this particular case, you can see this one's using Office 365, it's using Microsoft Teams, and it's using OneDrive for Business. So you can see in this particular case, I've already got accounts set up for the two connectors for Office 365 and OneDrive for Business. But in this case, I have not yet connected Microsoft Teams into my Power Automate instance. So for this, I'm going to click on Sign In. And since I already have something, I'm already logged into my account, my Microsoft account. All I had to do is click the sign in button, and it made use of the account sign in that's already in place. If it was something that I did not have an account where I'm already logged in on my computer, it would ask you for the full credentials and take you to the sign in for that particular application. So in this particular case, now you can see that for each of these, we now have a check mark. Says that it has a valid connection for each of the connectors that it needs for this template. So go ahead and click on Continue. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to say, it's going to ask you, because the trigger is when a new file is created on OneDrive, it's going to ask you for that file folder instance to look in. So in this particular case, we're going to select a folder within our OneDrive. So when you click on the little folder icon, it'll start you up through your folder list. In this particular case, so if you want to select the folder itself, you would click on this. If you want to go into a subfolder under here, you click the arrow. Takes you into that. From this, you can see the subfolders here. So we're just going to use this folder. So let's select our conferences folder here. So we've selected the folder that we're going to watch. We don't want to look in any of the subfolders, so it's only going to look in the main folder. So we'll go ahead and click Create. All right, so by default, that's really all you need to do for most of the templates. Most of it's already set up and configured beyond that because you did your sign-in. But in most cases, probably what you're going to do is going to need to go and configure some things to customize what it is you actually need. So in this particular case, it's saying that the flow is ready to go, meaning that if I were to run it right now, this doesn't have any issues that would prevent it from running. So we'll just go ahead and click Got It. But in this case, we want to go ahead and edit it. But the first thing you want to do is when you create a new flow, you want to turn off the flow until you're ready for it to run for the first time. And the reason for that is once a flow is saved for the first time, it will trigger if that trigger event ever happens. So if the schedule happens, if in this particular case, if a file were to get put in there right now, it would kick off the flow because it's already watching that folder for new files. So we want to go ahead and turn off the flow until we're done editing. Then we'll go ahead and click on Edit. So you can see it's got the list of steps here. There's the trigger at the top, and then it's got 4 actions here. So in this particular case, we're just going to walk through all of them. So you can see that the folder that I selected is there. And for that, we're not looking at any subfolders, and it will return up to 10 files at a time. So the next step it put in here is a variable. In this particular case, it's an adaptive card link to file. Probably want to look and see what that's being used for before we decide what to put in there. So next thing, it's got a scope step here. So what the scope action does is a way for you to organize your actions into groups that are related. In this particular case, it's just grouping together these couple steps, but it gives you a couple of advantages. One, it lets you move the grouped. If you need to reorganize things, you can just move everything that's related as a group. For instance, if I needed to move these up or down in the order, or create like a parallel branch here and have something happen. But one of the other things it does is that a scope allows you to kind of have a more global error catching policy, so that if it fails at any point through here, if this, say, were more complex and it had 7 or 8 different steps in here, if any of those steps failed, then you could have down here at the bottom after the scope, you could create a branch that goes off for, and we'll talk about branching in another video, but it'll give you a branch that you could do one if everything inside the scope succeeds, and you could have a second branch that's parallel to it that would run if anything at any point within the scope failed. So it's just a way of organizing things. So in this particular case, it's creating a share link to that particular file that gets added. You can see it's passing the web URL, and that's getting put into the adaptive card link. Okay, so we see what that's doing there. So we don't really need to add anything to that up here. We can just leave it as a blank in the initial value. And then what it's doing is it's getting information from Office 365 about the person who's running it. So whatever account this is running under, that's the information that we get back from this information here. And then it's just going to post something into the chat. So in this particular case, it's posting it as a flow bot, sending it to a mail recipient, I think. Oh, it's just, it's just sending a message to you in your chat. Okay. So in this particular case, we don't need to do any additional configuration. So this flow would run just fine right now. So just to do a double check, we're going to do flow checker there. Everything looks good. And now at this point, because we turned it off, you can't run a test. If it's turned off, you have to go back and turn it on first, unfortunately. This is one of the things I wish they would change is give you the ability to test a flow without having it turned on full time. But unfortunately, you can't do that. So we turn it back on and then go back into the edit. Then we can run a test. And we'll do it manually because we haven't done anything, or we don't have any previous runs. So go ahead and click test. Okay, and I've just dropped a file into that OneDrive folder. Just picked a file at random. Okay, in this particular case, the flow failed. So what we can do here, let's see here, what was the error message? Token exchange runtime call was blocked. 65 is in the block list. Okay. So in this particular case, looks like we've got some rights set up in our domain that doesn't allow me to make that query. Oh wait, the refresh token is expired due to inactivity. Maybe it's not a rights issue. Let's try rerunning that. Let me go back to my connections. Just to double check. Let me check my Office 365 connection. See, yeah, this is a good example here. So you can see that it can't sign in. So unfortunately, for a lot of these, it doesn't, it's limited based on what the security is on the connector that you're using. So there's not a lot that Flow can do about that kind of thing. You just have to kind of keep an eye on the error messages that come through on your flows so that when a flow fails, if a flow's been running fine and then it starts failing over and over again, 9 times out of 10, it's because one of your connections no longer runs or is no longer working. So if that happens, you just come in here to your connection screen, you can click on Fix Connection, and what it'll do is have you sign back into your account in this particular case, and now this works. So let's go back to our flow. And let's try to run that test again. So let's do test. Let's try automatically because we've already got one through there. So that trigger is still there, or the data from that trigger is still there. So go ahead and click test and it should run back through. Come on. Let's try with the recently used trigger. I'm not sure why the other one's not working. That should work. We'll try with that one again. So now you can see there's a green check mark this time. This is a good time to kind of show you an example of, kind of things is you can watch it happen, or you can watch it run there. Now you can see it's completely finished. The flow ran successfully. In this particular case, ran through the scope steps. And if there are, steps inside, you can click on that. It expands that. You can click on individual things to see the details. So you see my profile information there. And you can see it says that it posted it into the chat. Okay, so I'm here in my Teams instance, and you can see the very top message here. It says Power Automate sent a card, and here's the information about the card. So here's a new OneDrive file because we didn't change anything. Here's the name of the file and who created it. And I could click on go to file and it would take me to that file. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's very simple to use a template to create a new flow. And there are a lot of great templates out there. Odds are, 8 times out of 10 or whatever it is, if you have an idea of something you want to do with a flow, somebody's already created a template out there that gets you at least, halfway or 70% of the way. So you can look through the templates, you can search through the templates, look for something that is related to the things that you want to work on, or that you want to accomplish. And, somebody's probably already created something that you can use as a good starting point, if not, completely take that template. So that's all there is to templates. It's very easy, very simple to get going.